Okay guys, we're going to jump right into this. Soldering the SMD Diodes. I actually did this last night. I had to play around with the other side to get this to work. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go through 1 through 6 here, solder them, and then I'm going to try to get a better angle for the next row so you can see better how the heat flows. Just play it that way, because this did take about an hour or so playing with it last night with the other side on getting this to work, and I finally got a technique down. I need to clean that. Wipe it on the glove. What I found works best, less is more, okay? Just put a little dab of solder paste on each pad, not a lot. Because as soon as, like right there, as soon as you glop too much, it just makes a mess. You can still work with it because the solder will flow, but you have to get under the chip and start blowing it each way, or you'll cause a short. So there's one. I also found it's much easier to just let these diodes, let them plop out on the table. I'm going to flip him over so we can see which way we have to align him. He's upside down. Now he's right side up. Give me a second so I can see. Because you got to remember, the line must go towards the square, and the square right now is on the left side, so I just seat them down in there. Let's get some airflow. We don't want too much air, because we put too much air on our heat gun, it's going to blow that SMD chip right off, that diode right off, and that's a problem. Also remember, when you're setting the temperature on your soldering iron or your soldering air gun, you got to remember that the temperature that's set is not necessarily the temperature you're going to get at the contact point. So the temperature is right here, but that's different when I have to heat this. We're going to lose. You're always going to lose heat, so you want to set your temperature a little bit higher. In this case, yesterday it was 200 something Celsius. I don't remember exactly, but this paste melts at 138. But it also depends on the efficiency and the quality of your soldering station. This station was a little on the cheaper side, so who knows how accurate it is. Regardless, it did end up working well once I got it configured, and it does heat up pretty instantly. It just took some playing around with. All right, let's see how this goes here. I like to try and grab one side first, as always. I mean, you can only really do one side anyway. Heat it up. And even if it's not perfect, I like to heat it up and release. That way, release by pulling away the gun from the joint. That way it can at least hold. Actually, you know what? The way I did this last night, I always started with my right hand. That was easier for me to hold the chip in place. And using the left hand to heat up the other side. Because these things, they will slide around. You've got air blowing onto that diode, and it can push it, especially when it gets melted. What's really cool here, which I know it's going to be hard to see, is that when you get both sides melted and you start heating it, you can actually heat up the diode on each side, and it will kind of move, but the paste will actually hold it. So you'll see it move, like you're blowing it and it can't move, and then you go blow the other way and it'll move, but it won't come out of the paste, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you guys can be able to see that. It's going to be way too hard for me to get a camera angle to show that. I think I might need a little more airflow. It was funny because through the gloves last night, there was a point where I couldn't tell that the air was flowing, but it was flowing and I was using it. You kind of have to visualize where the air is going because obviously you can't see it, and with the gloves it makes it harder to feel. Just got to pay attention. This one I think is good. It made a little bit of a mess with the paste, but it is good. And like I said, you want to get kind of under the sides too if you end up putting too much paste, because it will blow. The solder balls will form. Okay, there it goes. I want it to blow the other way. And just make sure that no other balls are under there. And that's it. That one's good. Now what we do after, you know, I did a group and then I checked. But especially if you're doing the first one, you want to check for continuity. I'm not testing the diode's function. I'm testing for a short. Okay, if the diode is bad, that's something I'll check later. But if the diode's bad, it'll just have to be replaced. Right now, I'm just going to do a whole group of putting diodes, and what I'm checking for to see is if I put too much solder that got underneath the diode, that would short out and essentially bypass the diode, which makes it useless. And that's bad. So we want to check for that. So when you're checking for continuity, there you go. You hear the beep there. This is a lower end multimeter, but you can hear the beep. If this doesn't work, I'm going to go to my car and get my fluke. There we go. Okay. Anyway, the way that this is on the board, we're checking continuity. These are all on the same circuit. Okay? And these are on the same circuit. These are connected between the diode. Okay? So if I check here, here, or here, they will short together, and it should beep. If I check on any of these 3 points with any of these 3 points, I should not get a beep. If I do, this must be repaired. You have to resolder to fix the flow, or otherwise it's not going to go through that diode. So I'm going to put my point here, and I'm going to put on the same point to test it. You hear the beep. It's on the same side. You know, that lets you know they're on the same circuit. So I can test here, and there we go. No beep, no beep, no beep. Now to do it quickly, you can just hit 1 here, and you can pick any of these, and if it doesn't beep, you should be good to go. I always like to just do an extra check to make sure that my multimeter is still working, and then there. You know, if you think that's too much, then just check the 2 points. No big deal. And that's what you're going to do. You need to solder the point, and when you're done, go and check for continuity to make sure there's no shorts there. Along with making sure that the line is on the square, which in this case it is. Yesterday, even though I thought I was paying attention, I ended up soldering one backwards, and actually I think that was the first one. I got the joint perfect, and I was like, oh no, I got to take it off. And the joint came out pretty good, but not as near as perfect as it was. So just pay attention to that. Now I'm just going to go ahead and keep soldering the rest of this line. When I get that line, then we'll redo the camera angle and see if we can get a better one on the next row there. Okay, so once again, I'm going to push a little bit. Just like barely pushing and tapping, because I find that helps get this paste to kind of glop on and stick, and that was too much paste. Okay. The idea here is when you solder, you don't want it to look like 2 big silver balls on each side. That's not what you want. That's a very weak solder joint. You don't want globs of solder. You actually want to be able to see the curvature of the connection that makes for a stronger joint over time. Okay, true. These are SMD parts, and they're not really going to be moving to fall out or anything, but still, in practice, you don't want to get into the habit of making really shitty solder joints. Okay, I got 2 out here. And solder those balls, that's not what you want. Retrieving diodes. Okay. That guy. After I got the hang of this, the hardest part was really just determining which side had the line. And that's only because it's difficult to see. But last night I was using my magnifying glass with my light, which I would be using right now, but the problem is it's acting as the stand for my camera. So I actually have the light reflecting against my wall, which is the light that you see here. So I can't use that magnifying glass, but I actually do have this guy here, which you guys probably have. And it does mean no help because there's no fucking light. So virtually useless also in this particular setup. Works great when I'm not recording. Alright, so I'm going to put that there. Let's try this again. And, nope, I did it last night. try to hold this guy on there. What I'm going to do now is heat up this left side. It's going to move a little bit, no big deal. Let that stuff heat up and form a solder joint, form the little solder balls. You'll see the little balls heat up and then form as one and join together. And I mean, once you get that thing on the pad, you can just release, let go, let it heat up for a minute. That's not even, but I'm going to fix that in a moment. I'm going to come through here. I'm going to heat this up. I'll try to get these close to where they need to be. We will fix the alignment right now. Come back and fix this side. Another trick is, move the board. You can move the board around. The board doesn't have to stay the same direction for this. If you need to move the board a little bit, use that to your advantage. Okay, I think we're about good now. Okay. Heater from the top. Try to clean up some of this paste so I have less to deal with later as far as cleaning and shaping up. The paste can be kind of messy. It's not really perfect. That's good. That one's good. Good. When I'm done with these, I like to just check to make sure that they actually are attached. One looked like it was attached, but that's one of my first ones. But just do a quick check, and that's what I dropped earlier. Okay. That is the biggest problem here, trying to record. I don't want to get my head in the way of trying to look at this thing, but I don't want to pull this over the tabletop and drop the diode. That was the biggest advantage last night when I started getting the hang of this, is to see which way this thing has to sit. That was really speeding up the process. Because what I found is once you look at it, if you're at home doing this, what you do, you put it on the table and you can just push it around and you can just change it real easily. That's it. That makes it easy. So let me find a way to do this. I'll get my head in the way and flip it back over. There you go. Very good. Very good. Okay. Grab another one. Flip it. They will always find a way to flip the wrong way. There were so many other YouTube videos I watched of people having this problem with the diodes. See, just rotate it the way it needs to go. Pick it up, drop it in the goop. Hold it in place, get your next one. Check rotation, it's correct. Bring it over, drop it in the goop. We have one more. Do that one in a second. Let's see if we can attach these. Alright. Damn it. Good. Diode, heat one side, solder balls are forming, joint is forming as it all merges together. Hold diode, remove heat, check. If you check that too fast before it solidifies, it will shift, so just be aware of that. Give it a couple extra seconds, longer than you think it needs. Then come back, heat up the other side. Same process. And this is just the tedious part of the ErgoDox. The second tedious is probably doing all the damn key switches, but those are through-hole soldering, and I find that pretty fun. So I'm looking forward to that. This surface mount shit, not so much. Although the better you are at it, the more fun it is. And I'm better at it than I was when I started, so it's not as bad. Okay, we got two more here to finish this row. This one I didn't put as much solder just so it would look cleaner and neater the way it's supposed to. So let's see if it works the way I want it to. Seems to be having an issue hanging on. Okay, there we go. I can tell it melted. And I'm going to remove, wait, 2, 3, 4. Come over here, see if it held on. It did. That joint is solid. Come do the right side. Come heat this up. Those balls are, oh, that's beautiful. That is probably the cleanest, nicest looking joint I've done out of all of them. That is nice. Yeah, if you can do this with less solder, I mean, it's going to come out looking real clean. That's beautiful. Good deal. This one I think I put too much, but heat up one side. There we go. We got it melted. Very good. Remove. Wait. 2, 3, 4. Until I was in band, right? That's how we used to count our rests. Let's go over here, heat up the right side. Let's start from this angle since we have some paste that flowed that way. I'm going to put the tweezers on the other end here so we can blow it back towards itself in case the other joint heats up. I don't want it to release. I'm going to have to put a little more airflow to help this out. It didn't melt. I want to kind of align this a little better, so I'm going to try to heat up both sides and let it push itself. There it goes. Okay, I pushed too far. But it did heat up and do what I wanted it to do. actually pretty good like that. Do a quick check for continuity. Always test your multimeter, make sure it still works. I already had checked these two, so let's go over here. Does it work? Yep. Good. Does it work? Good. Should short. Good. Should short. Good. So, none of them are shorted or bridged. And I'm going to check to make sure they're all aligned. We've got the line on the left, line on left, 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 and left. And they're all aligned properly. So 1 through 6 is good. Okay. Now I'm going to see if we can get a better camera angle to at least get a view of 1 or 2 of these up close so you can really see what's going on.